Hello, and welcome to my channel, Play with Curious Sunshine. My name is Sarah, and here we talk all about play. I talk about what it means to be playful, how we can move forward with a playful mindset, and how to apply play even when things get a little unsticky and unfun. So, if you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, or share this video with someone who you feel would benefit from it. All right, so it is summertime, which means that it's time for the summertime messages from the spirit of play, angelic play energies, however you want to describe it. But essentially, we're channeling the play frequency and providing insight from that. So if you did catch the spring messages, this is going to be kind of similar. So yeah, I'm excited to get started. So before we even do any of this, I have to put on my royal play regalia. I already have some of it. And so we're going to just top it off with my clown wear. And so we are scared of clowns. Maybe this is something that you could just listen to. I'm not doing a full clown face makeup, as you'll see in like a couple seconds. It's just a clown nose. So, bing! And we are ready to go. So before we get into any of the readings, let's clear the space. Let's clear the energy, the frequency, so that we get the highest frequency that we need for this time. We have our handy dandy bell chime, so it might be a little loud, I'm not too sure, but just a heads up. Taking a deep breath, aligning yourself to the frequency of play to get whatever insight that you need today in this video. So let's start with picking a card. So here I have some cards that help inspire us in direction, the questions that we need to go. I'm not looking at them, mixing them up. So your play question for this season is, what is your inner whimsy telling you? Let's put it up there. What is your inner whimsy telling you? So I love this question because I feel like whimsy is all the rage right now. It's a very hot word. And everyone is diving into their more whimsical side, really diving into what that means. Whimsy is not a new word. It has existed. And so I think the collective has hopped into a frequency that allows them to bring that idea of whimsy into their awareness. And so think about what your inner whimsy is telling you. And I did a video in the past about what whimsy is. So if you're very lost and this is a new term to you, I invite you to go back and watch that video. But really looking at what is your, because whimsy stems from the word whim, which is something that you're just doing at a split decision. You're like, I want to do this, and you're moving on impulse. And so thinking about what your inner impulses are communicating to you, and really diving into this fantastical realm of things that make you happy, that may be unconventional, maybe not being understood by the general peoples, is, this whimsiness that we're seeking often goes against the grain, goes against the status quo, goes against the norm, whether it's the norm of society, whether it's the norm within our own inner world. but really exploring what your inner whimsy is telling you. And maybe this is something that you haven't acted upon yet. And so, really, also assessing the things that are stopping you, whether it's fear of judgment, fear of being seen in this weird way, fear of fear, being afraid to go outside your comfort zone. So, just listening and asking yourself this question throughout the summer season of what your inner whimsy is telling you and following it or diving into it, trying to understand it, and trying to figure out a way to express it in an authentic way for you. What's whimsy to one person may be different than what's whimsy to another person. And so honoring whimsy in the fact that it looks different and is expressed different and is felt different based on the individual. So there's no right way to be whimsy. It's whatever feels like light, fun, playful with levity for you. So that is the card. What is your inner whimsy telling you? So next in the play, the messages from the divine play spirits, we will be picking some letters, playing anagram of sorts. So as you see here, I have this nifty bag full of Scrabble letters that I've repurposed for divination. So let's see. Shake them up, shake them up, shake them up, shake them. Okay. Okay, I have a handful of letters. I'll take a picture of these and post them on the side as I'm looking for words. Maybe there's other words that stick out to you that could give you the insight that you need. So let's see. We have, ooh, lots of O's. Ooh. Like, ooh la la. Or maybe like, ooh, exciting. Let me just arrange these in a way that is a little less chaotic. Okay, so I just took a picture of all the letters and I will post that right here so you can see. So one thing that's really sticking out to me is how many, like, without even looking at the letters, how many ones are here. If you ever played Scrabble, you have like the letter here with like the number. And so there's like, whoa, okay, so all of these letters have one, and the ones that don't have one are the J and the D. But if you're familiar with like numerology, you add the 8 and the 2 together, and then you get 10. And then the 10 is the 1 plus the 0, which equals 1. So there's a lot of ones here. Ones are in numerology symbols of beginnings. Really looking at like what you're beginning during the season, looking at new beginnings during the season, looking at, I think of like first starting points. One's a prime number, I think. I think so. I think one's a prime number. So looking at that, being the odd one out, being okay with being the only one doing something, especially if it's in alignment with your joy, your spirit, your whimsy. Yeah, that's crazy. There's so many like letters and stuff to choose from, and I just got a bunch of ones. Okay, let's start playing anagrams here. So, of course, I noticed the ooze. There's loon, like loony. This could be something like, or I think we're gonna focus on like the positives here. So, not loony in the sake of insanity, but like Looney Tunes, um, a cartoon. I always feel like I personally am like a cartoon in the like in this like weird world, and I think of like those cartoon episodes where they'll have like the crossover where it'll be like a cartoon that ends up in like the real world. I think of like what was it, The Simpsons, I think, when he went into like the portal in their living room and he's going through all these dimensions, and then the last dimension he ends up in the real world. um so maybe exploring dimensions and what that looks like, with whatever degree makes sense for you in that. Loon. Let me see. There's also some eyes. And for some reason, it's like, normally I love doing this, but right now it's like, I don't know, it's a little hard for me to like pick words from here. Run. Got the word run. Going running. Running for something. Um, Lid. Huh. I almost want to say riot, but there's no T. But I got Rio, which, love the movie, love the place. Maybe exploring tropical landscapes. If you aren't in a tropical landscape and don't have the capacity to get to one, maybe watching something that puts you in that space. Huh. Oh, ruin. Ruin. Don't ruin your own joy. Don't ruin your own joy by trying to like find the like, when I thought of this, I was thinking of like when someone does a magic trick for you and it's like you have the magic and the illusion of the magic trick, and the magic's ruined when you try and find out how that was done. And so honoring the boundaries that you place on yourself on discovering the how, discovering, instead of experiencing it, you try and like intellectualize it. And I think when we intellectualize or try and find like sources, or this like more westernized, heavier density matrix approach to the magical things that we encounter, we almost ruin that moment. So looking at or reminding yourself not to ruin. And I know it's hard because and I see it all the time where it's like we have access to everything through the internet, through social media, and sometimes we let our propensity of finding things, ruin the essence of what it was. Den, like the den of a house, or dinner. Maybe you're hungry. Maybe you're watching this around dinner time. Let me see. Dang. Maybe if you found some cool words in here that I haven't said, let me know. Because I don't, yeah. Okay, we'll stop. Maybe this is more for you guys to discover. Oh, drool. Maybe it's just patience. Maybe you're trying to figure something out and you're forcing your brain to try and figure it out. And it's like holding a hose too tight. And it's like if you're holding the hose too tight, then you're not allowing the water to kind of flow. And so to let go of that control, you're able to kind of see different perspectives. And right now I'm like trying my hardest to like find some words. And then I kind of just, as soon as I was about to like not give up, but move on to the next thing, some words started popping up. So we got drool. I don't know what that means. Maybe you're hungry and you're drooling and salivating over what you're gonna have. Ooh, or how can I say this? Like, find something that this is gonna sound so weird. Find something that makes you drool, like that makes you drool. And it doesn't have to be like in a literal sense, but maybe it's like a goal, an adventure, an activity, or something that like makes you spiritually salivate, where it's like, ooh, I really want that. Because when you think of the idea of drooling, it's like you want something so bad that like your body can't help but like correspond with that want. And so, really assessing like what makes you what makes you drool. Look, I'm just here to provide these play messages. I don't necessarily understand them. But yeah, think about something that that brings like that satiation where it's like, I gotta have that. Spending the summer either chasing it or finding curiosity, right? And I'm thinking back to the card, what is your inner whimsy telling you? Um, what makes you like, I can't get it out of my mind. I have to chase it. I have to go for this. And also thinking of like the Pavlovian response, because like the Pavlovian, right? Like you rung a bell and like the dog was salivating, and so now every time the bell rings, the dog associates it with getting fed. Looking at your Pavlovian responses, um, maybe creating Pavlovian responses that correspond with your joy. Um, yeah, do with that what you will. Okay, is there anything else? Is there anything else for now? I'm gonna leave these here because, like, at some point, maybe something else will pop out. Joy, Joi, join, joining something, enjoying something. Okay, rod. Okay, we're done here. Let's move on because we'll be here forever. Me trying to figure out and look for different words. Also, don't forget the ooh. Ooh. Ooh, there's three O's here. So like, ooh. What makes you go, ooh? Kind of reveling into that. You know how someone says something or you come across something and you're like, ooh. Keep an eye out for those. Okay. So now we'll move into dice. I know last play message I had charms. Since then, I have refined it and created dice so it's more succinct. And, we're getting 6 symbols. So here on this die, I have chess piece, a red ball, a rubber duck, some crayons, a paper airplane, and a doll. These are all toys and playful things, but they all represent a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to roll the die, and then whatever it lands on, we'll go from there without messing up the letters. Eee! Okay, so it landed on the doll. The doll. And so the doll, I I think that the doll kind of represents how we present ourselves in the world. And I'm thinking about like the term getting dolled up, and really focusing on how we express ourselves. I think, especially in like, so the age of social media, it's kind of like we get fed how to look, get fed how to dress. And if you notice, like some folks, or I think a lot of folks actually have like the same haircut, the same hairstyle, the same way they do their makeup, the same way that they dress. And so really inviting yourself to explore outside of that. Maybe it's looking at different styles that exist. Um, yes, we get fed how to dress through social media, but we do have the power of the internet to explore all these other ways that we can embody and express how we feel on the inside. And so, really examining what that looks like. And I invite you to explore new ways of self expression, rather, it's changing how you dress, changing, adding accessories, really looking and leaning into adornment. Uh, and I love this because I lean heavily into the idea of like video games and like living life as a video game. And so envisioning yourself as an avatar in the game. And it's like, how do you want your avatar to look? Like, you could change that. No one's telling you how to show up. You have the choice. And also really leaning into like, our bodies are the one thing that we have ownership of. And so, really holding pride and care and gratitude into pouring into ourselves. And so I know I personally do this through how I dress. So I make sure that, when I do choose clothes, put on clothes, I choose the ones that resonate with how I view myself and how I want others to perceive me. And sometimes I don't want to be perceived, so I dress very much to reflect that. And sometimes, as the play person, as the play alchemist, it's like, how do I now exude this playfulness through what I wear? I also do this through, fitness and health. It's like, I want to be my best, healthiest self. So I make sure that I pour into that by making sure I eat the right things, ingesting the right vitamins and minerals, working out and doing stuff in my body in that regard. And also allowing myself to venerate my body by allowing myself to rest, allowing myself to play. The doll also symbolizes like innocence. Because, when we think of dolls, we think of children. And also looking at the doll as being a safety, like like a safety comfort. Like when you see kids, um sometimes they'll have a doll and that's like they're taking it everywhere. That is their safety. Um Safety blanket, but safety doll. That is their safety, and that's something that they need as part of themselves. And they're able to kind of take this on like, this is the doll, this is me, this is, what I need to hug when I need comfort. And so, really looking at the doll in that sense, looking at safety and comfort and highlighting that, um, showing gratitude to the systems of safety and comfort that you do have in your life, or working towards strengthening those systems of safety and comfort in your life. Maybe this is just an invitation for you to like get some dolls, go play with some Barbies, or go get that doll that you've always eyed. Um, I have dolls. I have like stuffed animals. But I was a big Barbie girl growing up. Love me some Barbies, man. Um, what else? There was something else that I was gonna say. Maybe poppets, voodoo dolls are something of importance to you. I know that we normally, when we think of those things, it could be bad. Um, but I don't think the initial meaning of dolls is bad. I think that using puppets and dolls were actually a tool for healing, and assessing. And I know that if anyone does Reiki who's watching this, you use dolls to do remote Reiki. So um, you're healing people that are at a distance through embodying them through this doll. Dang, there was something else I was gonna say. Dolls, dolls, dolls. Dolls, dolls, dolls. Guys and dolls. Isn't that a play? Maybe there's something with that resonates with you. I don't think I've ever seen it. Um, what was I gonna say? Dolls. Dolls are also for the creepy kids out there that like horror. Um, I'm thinking of like Annabelle and Chucky, how dolls have the ability to embody spirits of the dead. Because that's how Annabelle became. It was like a dead spirit that was now possessing a doll. Things that are anthropomorphic are easier to in like to infuse with human spirit. If you like that kind of conversation, I don't know if that means anything to you. Maybe it's something to try, maybe it's something to be wary of, maybe it's something to just contemplate in whatever practice or curiosities or whimsies are within you. Um, Go to Build-A-Bear, get an American Girl doll, revisit Chucky, like watch the movie. don't 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 make like a Chucky, like do what you want with this symbol as long as it's safe, of high vibration, of love, and doesn't create any harm within yourself or anyone else, because we follow the laws of the universe here, and whatever energy you put out you get back tenfold. So if you put out bad intentions, whether you feel righteous in them or not is not for you to determine. um if you put out bad, you're going to get bad tenfold, and if you put out good, you're going to get good tenfold. So don't be making puppets of people. Keep it cute, keep it classy, keep it high vibrational, keep it filled with divine, universal, cosmic love. She's also wearing blue. Maybe wearing blue. Maybe watch Coraline. Ooh, maybe there's some symbolism within Coraline. And she had her other mother with the button eyes, and she seemed nice, but then she turned out to be really bad. I forgot what her name was. It started with a B, I think. If you remember, like the real, or if you remember the second mom's actual name, and maybe that's it too. Maybe there's some symbolism in that where it's like you think something is not what it seems. Like you're entering the space and everyone seems really nice and ideal, and you're like, yes, this is perfect. But then the longer you stay in the situation, you realize that it was all a ploy of manipulation to get you to the dark side. Yeah. Well, also Coraline's like super great, super whimsical, and dives into dark whimsy, which love me some dark whimsy. It's okay. We have the doll. And so next we will move into, oh, yes. Okay. So next we will, there's some things that I've also, like, as I'm sitting and preparing for these spiritual sessions that I have with you guys, I also am paying attention to some things that pop into my head um, that have been themes within me. Because when there's themes that keep showing up for me, then I share it with you in hopes that maybe there's a theme that pops up for you that you resonate within this. I also do this when when I work with Reiki clients. Often, if there's some kind of theme or synchronicity that's within my world, it usually also shows up in the readings and the intuitive messages and the Reiki that I do with my clients. So, with that being said, something that's been popping up for me is the symbolism of pinwheels. I love pinwheels. I have one here. I didn't just grab it for this reading, it's always here. So when I do work, it reminds me to stay light and playful. And plus, when the sun shines on it during like the sunset time, it reflects all these pretty colors on the walls and ceilings because it is iridescent. And I love iridescent. I would even go to say that iridescent is my favorite color. I know that it's multiple colors, but there's no rules for favorite colors. My favorite color is iridescent. Maybe your favorite color is iridescent too. And so with that, really looking at like, what do pinwheels mean? And so looking at some of the symbolism, pinwheels are symbols of joy. Childhood, you see pinwheels a lot with children. They'll have them, they'll run around with them. A lot of the like creative work that I do, especially if I'm working with children or having some sort of creative activation, I will DIY pinwheels, getting some construction paper, those little brad things, the little tacks that you could like bend and whatever, and then a paper straw. So you make the pinwheel, you poke a hole like with a hole puncher through the paper straw, and then you use the brad to kind of secure the paper onto the paper straw, and then you spin it, and then you have a pinwheel, and it's super fun. And maybe I'll provide some link at the bottom for you to make your own. But pinwheels symbolize just the simplicity of joy. Pinwheels also represent the wheel of fortune as it spins. So really looking at turning your luck. We often settle with, that's just my lot in life. This is just where I am. And we don't really think that that's something that you could change. I think that you could change your lot in life. And I read the book Trickster Makes This World. I think it is. I'll put the link if I remember. But I listened to the audiobook, one of very few audiobooks, but I was like, I know I'm not going to read this, so I'm just going to listen to it on my walks. And something that they talked about was the trickster having the ability to change our lot in life, and really looking at luck and setting ourselves up to increase our chances of luck, which is very abstract and can easier said than done. But really looking at, I think of like lottery and chance, and looking at that spontaneity of chance, which is a huge component of play. And when we're playing, it's really opening ourselves up to chance, opening ourselves up to spontaneity, opening ourselves up to luck. And when we play lottery, it's a form of play, and it's with the hopes of changing our luck. You don't play lottery without hopes of winning, fortune, to changing our luck from having without to having an abundance. And so really looking at the pinwheel as a symbol of changing our luck. Also looking at the seasons, maybe some seasons are luckier than others for us. I know I can resonate with that. Some seasons are really great for me, and some seasons are really not great. And I would even say odd and strange in the clearest sense. So just something to think about. How do you feel your lot in life is? And do you feel like you have the ability to change it? And do you put yourself in situations to change it? And I also think of like quantum leaping. And in order for us to change timelines, we have to do something outside of our norm to invite the anomaly and the consequences of said anomaly. Maybe following that inner whimsy can help really make that choice to change that lot. It's it's dicey. No pun intended, pun intended. But I use spontaneity in a lot of the magicals. I mean, divination's also playing with chance and luck. And I even think of the pinwheel as like another form of the spin the wheel when you see in like The Price is Right, or even those little prize wheels that you see at the markets where you spin, and if you land on a prize and you get that prize, or you land on nothing, you get nothing. Um, really just sitting with that. That's all I'm going to say. And then another thing that was coming up for me is depths. I'm working on a project right now where I'm like exploring depths. That's all I'm going to say on that for now. But really asking yourself, how deep are you living life? What are the depths that you're allowing yourselves to exist in? Do you feel like you're living life as deep as it could be lived? Um, are you experiencing and really reveling in the experiences and the gifts that you have with depth? Um, and when I say depth, I mean like exploring the pure essence of it. Um, and we'll bring a walk into that because it's the simplest thing I could think of at the moment. But it's like, are you reveling in the depth of this walk? Exploring the pure essence of this experience. Yeah, it's a walk and you're just going to get your steps in or whatever. Or are you honoring the fact that you have the ability to walk? Um, the fact that you're able to enjoy and ingest all of your surroundings, the green trees, the blue sky, the other people around you, the beautiful weather, right? How deep are you allowing yourself to feel this moment? Um, and just feeling the pure essence. And then on my notes, I put ketchup versus tomato. In that, you know, are you viewing life through ketchup? Very processed, very superficial, very, up here. Are you honoring the tomato of it? Like, are you able to see that, like, the core essence of ketchup is tomato? And really reveling in the fact that this is the core of ketchup. You can't have ketchup without tomato. And so are you the ketchup? A very highly processed rendition of a tomato, or are you the pure essence of it? Look, whatever. Ketchup versus tomato. Pure essence versus superficial, just doing it and turning your brain off and not really honoring the spiritual blessing of said thing. Um, and this could be applied to anything. I was just using walking as an example, but looking at your life through depth. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the new segment, which is the philosophy of the week. The play philosophy of the week, which is where I just provide some insights to give you something else to chew on. This whole video has been this, so this will just be some more of that. And so the play philosophy of the week is, are you matching the energy of the goals that you've set? And I think by this, I was contemplating on a lot of the goals I have within Curious Sunshine. And some people, if you're a business owner, you may get the question a lot of like, what's the goal of your business? What's the goal? What's the rhyme or reason for what you do? And then you create something that's like palatable. For me, it's to make the world a more playful place. And I know that sounds super lofty and like, whoa, you're going to change the world. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, I guess. Like, why not? And I don't think we allow ourselves to create goals that have that magnitude. And it's like, why not? Like, even if I don't hit that mark, it's still going to be greater than if I just said to make people play again. It's like, no, I want to create a more playful world. I don't want it to also just, I want it to be internal transformation, but also external. I want to see what happens when we take play as seriously as we should, just based on scientifics and my own experiences and talking to other people who work in the play community. It's like, it's life changing. So let's set goals that match that. And and the project I'm working on, it was like, oh, my goal with this project is to create a new, help create a new way of thinking, to create a new mindset. And that is the goal, to, to change the world for the better. And I've just been like, before I started like really coming to like this idea or this like motivation, I was just like, let me do all this other stuff first. Let me prioritize answering these emails and working on these other projects for work and my job and all this stuff. And it's like, but also, if this project, say this project is going to do just that, say this project is going to shift the paradigm, why are you squandering and wasting time? You know, if you know, and I had the imagery of a treasure chest and attaining and finishing the goal helps open up this treasure chest that will benefit society for the better. But if I know that that's the treasure, then I should be treating my goal with the same fervor as the treasure. You know, I don't know if this makes sense, but it's like, if this is going to make the world better, then I need to like prioritize that. I need to like, hey, there's a cure for cancer in this chest. Oh, well, then let me spend my time trying to open it, trying to attain this goal, instead of just looking at it and like being trepid about it because of fear, because of how hard it sounds. And it's like, if the goal is that important, then you need to prioritize the goal. They need to prioritize achieving the goal to match that energy. I guess if that makes sense. And I think of this as like, say your goal is to, say your goal, what's like a goal that's like, say your goal is to, okay, maybe you want to sing. Maybe you want to dive into like sharing your voice to other people, right? Because you feel like your voice, you have something to say. And you know that whatever you have to say could bring joy to other people. So, boom, that gold that's in the treasure chest is bringing joy to people. But maybe you just keep it in the back of your mind like, oh, one day I want to, one day I'll sing, I'll get to it when I can, I guess. And you kind of like kick it to the wayside. But it's like, you have a treasure chest waiting to be opened that could bring people joy. Why are you not trying to achieve this amazing goal? Why are you not trying to open this treasure chest to get the treasure that will make people happy? Man, I hope this makes sense. So the philosophy in that is, match the fervor. That fervor that you have to attain the goal should match this golden outcome that you want from completing the goal. If the goal is to change your life, to change others' lives, to make people feel better, to somehow increase the experience of yourself or others, then your energy to attain that, to open that treasure, should match the importance of the goal. And if you set a goal and it doesn't feel that important, set it again. So this project that I have, it could be like, oh, I just want another tool for promotion, or I just want passive income or something like that. And it's like, yeah, that goal is not deep enough for you to actually prioritize it. What you really want is to make people happy, is to change the world, is to change your outlook, to bring you joy, to revitalize your spirit. So tackle the goal in a way that matches that. If you're setting a goal and it's not pushing you enough, change the goal. Change the goal to something that really says, yes, actually, I do want to try this. Dig deeper. Dig deeper with that goal. Make it more lofty. Do what you need, but that's the play philosophy of the week is setting a goal that gives you that ooh, that makes you salivate to accomplish it, and then match the energy of that goal and that prize to accomplishing it. The bigger the prize, the more energy you got to put, the more time you got to put, the more passion you got to put to achieving it. That's it. And now the last part of the video. It's probably the longest video, but it's fine. We only do this 4 times out of the year. The last part of this is this or that. And this or that is really just following your intuition, a little game of intuition. And then I give you 2 symbols and then some intuitive messages to go along with it. So I have 2 hands. I have the right hand and the left hand. Let's pick a hand. Don't overthink it. Follow your intuition and choose the one that first sticks out to you. Take a deep breath. Calm your energy. And pick a hand. Okay, you ready? All right, so if you chose this hand, you got the pickle. And if you chose this hand, you got the cucumber. I do sit with these options and consort my spirit guides. So it's not coming from nothing, I guess. But this is your, again, messages from the spirits of play. So here we have pickle, here we have cucumber. They are one and the same, just different forms. They are both originating from cucumbers. One's just different. So if you chose the pickle, this is the first thing that comes into my head is brine. You get pickles from setting cucumbers in brine. And from there, after you leave it for a certain amount of time, it becomes a pickle. It becomes pickled. Which in my opinion, I do like pickled things a little bit more. So thinking about what that means in your life to be pickled, to have something pickled, to sit in a brine and transform from one thing to another. Pickles and pickled things that sit in brine are also, I feel like it gives food a little kick. So it's like you're eating something, but you have like pickles in there, or pickled carrots, pickled garlic, pickled anything, and it gives it that little kick. So thinking about what in your life could use a little kick, could use a little pizzazz. Yeah, I love pickles. Pickles are yummy. Pickles, I like the vinegary ones, not the sweet ones. But also same ideas like fermentation almost in a way. It's like what has been fermenting, what has been pickling in your energy fields. And also thinking about things that take time. You can't just put a cucumber in the brine for like 30 minutes and then expect it to be pickled. It's a timely process. And so thinking about what things are best served when you sit and let them ferment, when you sit and let them pickle, when you sit and let them transform through the environment that they're in. Are you pickled? Have you changed based on the environment that you're in? And when you think of, and that doesn't necessarily mean doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I love cucumbers. I love pickles. They are both yummy in their own, and they both serve yumminess in their own separate dishes in their own separate ways. So thinking about pickled fermentation, I think of like the alchemical process and that process of fermentation and really like letting yourself change form, like literally change form. And like it's like grapes and wine. Like grapes are dope and yummy, but wine's also yummy. You get you get wine through the fermentation of grapes. The grapes have to sit in the solution for a long, long time until finally the chemical reaction happens and they turn into wine. Um, and I also think of that one experiment. Gosh, I can't think of his name, but he did the rice where he would set the rice in water and he had two things of rice and one he said I love you all the time and then the other one he ignored or he said like bad things to it and the one he poured love into the rice fermented into a sweet rice liquor and then the one that he was ignoring or shouting bad things at turned into mold. And so really thinking about what you're pouring into during your fermentation or what idea or ideology or whatever you're letting ferment, pouring into it so that it comes out into this wine or this delicious pickle versus you just ignoring it and then it turns moldy and gross. So yeah, thinking about pickles and brine. And I also love like a lot of my ideas come from putting an essence or a thought or a want out there and letting it sort of pickle, letting it ferment, letting it incubate, and then trusting that I will come up with a solution later or come up with an idea later. And so I do that again with a lot of things where I'm like, I want to do this, but I don't know how. So we're just gonna just put it there and then just let the incubation, the pickling process happen. And then eventually ding, it's done. And then I create from there. So pickling, pickles. Maybe you're hungry and this is just your sign to go get some pickles. Pickles also, yeah, they're just good for you. Not everyone likes it, but the ones that like pickles love pickles, and the ones that hate pickles hate it. Um, anyways, let's move on to this one. This one is cucumber. Cucumbers, ooh, maybe you are cool as a cucumber. Maybe you should embody the coolness of a cucumber, especially if you're quick to get frustrated or agitated. Embodying the coolness of a cucumber to like let it roll off. Let the frustration roll off your back. So thinking of cucumbers in that way. Cucumbers are also very refreshing during the summer. It is hot outside. So having a cool cucumber is an amazing snack to have. Good with electrolytes. It's good for you. You put a little bit of like lemon, some salt, some hot sauce or something. You get a little nice little yummy snack. Um, just cucumbers remind me of summer. Cucumbers, you can slice and dice them in all these different ways or eat them by themselves, and they're still super yummy. High water content. I also think when I think of cucumbers, I think of relaxation. When like you put the cucumbers on your eyes to like reduce the inflammation and give all the nutrients to your skin. I think of cucumbers in that way. So maybe there's a need for you to call in more relaxation, call in this coolness to your life, um, to really just calm down the inflammation. Because when we get upset, we get frustrated, and we allow ourselves to get riled up, guess what? Our cortisol also gets revved up. And cortisol brings inflammation. And so the more we're cool, the more we let the agitations of life that aren't going anywhere roll off our backs, the more we conserve our cortisol and the more we remain uninflamed. Have an uninflamed summer. Don't allow yourself to get flamed up. Don't allow inflammation to ruin your summer. Be cool as a cucumber to reduce that inflammation. What else? Cucumbers. Yeah, I think that's it for the cucumbers. That one was quick. That one I had at the back, in the back of my brain. It was fermenting, but I took it out before it pickled. Okay, I'm done. Yeah, pickles, pickled and cucumbers. Again, one and the same. And maybe this is your duality. So really looking at, you are the cucumber. What parts of you are the divine pure essence of the pickle, which is the cucumber? What parts of you are moving in divine pure essence, and what parts of you are navigating in a different form? Not bad, just different. This one is very calm for the palate. This one's very, it's a kick. It boom, a little bit of zest, right? What parts of you are cool and neutral and calming, and what parts of you are zesty? What parts of you are have that bite of vinegar, that effervescence of fermentation? And just holding both. Again, the cucumber, same. It's its own standalone, and then it's a pickle. Not to like the same drastic comparison of like tomato and ketchup, but like viewing it as like you are the source. And so figuring out how you embody your own pure energy and all these other ways that it could show up that is still coming from you, but just in different forms, different processes, different ways. Yeah. Pickle, cucumber. All right, so we've been on here way too long, but I like talking to you guys, and I just feel like there was a lot to cover. And I like playing in this way. I think this is like peak play alchemist for me. And one of the few times I could wear my clown nose and really revel in that archetype of the sacred clown, which is big in who I am, my identity, how I practice, the realm of play, and how I share it, how I use it to transmute. Um, yeah, the dark to the light. So yeah, that will conclude the play messages, the summer play messages from the spirit of play. So now we're gonna ding that bell to kind of close the space, remove any other energies, and just kind of recharge, refresh. So here, closing the reading. Taking a deep breath. And just feeling all the stuff that we talked about. Taking in the things that stood out to you. silly or not, keeping these things in mind as we move forward. And we'll close this by saying thank you for watching. And as always, thank you for playing.